Mercury in our waters has the potential to hurt ecosystems as well as people. The CDC says too much exposure can damage the nervous system in adults or cause birth defects in infants.
10 News anchor Daniel Sexton spoke to scientists at Oak Ridge National Laboratory who hope to find a local solution to a global danger.
Seeing dangerous chemicals in this creek takes much more than a well-trained eye, but scientists here at Oak Ridge are trying to find what's in here and remove it.
You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. But if mercury levels in our water get too high, you can feel the effects.
We feel that mercury is very important. It's a pollutant of global concern.
Scott Brooks and his team are tracking mercury in East Fork Poplar Creek.
6.73, conductivity is 438.
The creek is highly contaminated. You couldn't eat a fish inside. Protocol requires gloves just to touch the water. Scientifically speaking, algae in the creek transforms mercury into methylmercury. Regularly speaking, that's the harmful kind. Methylmercury increases as it runs up the food chain, which means even in a body of water with safe mercury levels, the fish we eat can have harmful amounts. That's one reason the FDA only recommends 3 servings of fish a week. Too much methylmercury can damage a nervous system, so it's a problem worth solving.
We feel like we're getting closer all the time, but we're not quite at the point where we have the universal solution to mercury contamination in the environment.
Brooks hopes his research will one day be used to treat mercury levels throughout the world. To do that, he'll first have to treat it here. A daunting task, but he has some help.
Our biggest dose of mercury comes from eating contaminated fish.
Teresa Matthews in the Aquatic Ecology Lab captures samples and releases animals back into the same creeks Brooks' team studies. Her team discovered that by removing methylmercury from a body of water, the mercury in fish would revert back to safe levels.
If we get the water concentrations below this certain target, then we might expect to see our fish drop below.
The goal is to capture mercury before it becomes methylmercury. A complex plan, which may take nothing more than a little mussel or clam.
They can change the entire ecosystem.
Both of these cups were filled with algae. 1 hour later, the one with clams is clear. Filter the algae and you've filtered the mercury.
It'll be a multi-pronged solution.
Mussels and clams used to live in this creek. If the next round of experiments goes well, ORNL might reintroduce whichever species of little mollusks absorbs the most mercury to the ecosystem.
It alone is not going to be the solution, but it may be an important part of breaking that cycle of turning mercury into methylmercury.
A step in the right direction, and after a career dedicated to solving this, any step towards a solution makes Brooks happy as, a clam. In Oak Ridge, Daniel Sexton, 10 News.
The scientists in the ecology lab hope to know whether clams or mussels might be part of a long-term solution in the next 6 months. Right now, though, they believe a certain species of mussel has the best shot.